wait, stop. He sells on the Pacers that he's talked hype about all season, and then buys the 76ers that we have trashed all season.
They still got Danilo Gallinari, who can just light the lamp from three-point. And then Steven Adams, yeah, he's no Bam Adebayo, but let's not talk about him like he's some slouch to forget about.
That are starting to become big-time free agents, granted, but in their childhoods, in the early 2000s, were the Knicks ever good? No. Dribbling Around, Episode 4, Jayden Becker, Connor Glunt, Dane Richardson. Love the support from the first 3 episodes. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and on our personal social media accounts. And make sure to also check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Again, Dribbling Around. Gentlemen, again, we're still waiting until the NBA opens up, but we're going to start a little bit. We don't talk about them that much. The WNBA. So they created a new plan as well. They're going to start in mid-July in Bradenton, Florida at IMG Academy, and they're going to play a 22-game regular season. And I'm going to take a nice little diss at the MLB. Even though it's a shortened season, they're giving their players their full salaries. So nice move right there from the WNBA. So what are your thoughts on the WNBA season? It seems like it's going well. They've also put out many statements saying they're still committed to social justice reform. So what do you guys think of the WNBA's new plan?
I think it's an overall slam dunk. I mean, their players are receiving full pay and benefits. Even those who feel kind of at risk and don't want to go just for health concerns, they'll still be paid their full salary and receive full benefits. Not to mention, we get to see the debut of Sabrina Ionescu, one of the best women's college basketball players of all time. We get to see Breanna Stewart make her return after tearing her Achilles. It's going to be a good season. It's going to be a good, just to get sports back in July. Yeah.
Jayden.
Listen, this is a road untraveled, and there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, and we've seen a couple leagues be able to walk that road, and drive down that road with a lot of bumps along the way. But there's going to be bumps, especially if you don't know where you're going. There's no roadmap. You've never been through this before, right? Mm-hmm. And it all really lies in the money, right? The NBA and the NHL, they've both been able to do this because they've been past the big money issue because they played most of their season, right? The WNBA, obviously not really a lot of money compared to a lot of these the 4 major sports leagues. So I think that was a big factor why they were able to push ahead, right? You look at the MLB, not only have they fallen off the road, they've gone the other way, crashed, flipped around 7 times, and now it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. I'm very happy for the WNBA, but I think it's literally the defining thing that we've seen throughout all these leagues is the money, and the WNBA proved it. They're able to get it through pretty easily.
Yeah, it seems like the 2 basketball leagues, the WNBA and the NBA, along with the NHL, I'll give them some credit too. But those are the leagues that really have fortified a plan, agreed with the owners and the players and the administrative staff with their commissioners. And I think it's an overall good job. I mean, I know, like Jayden, you said, WNBA players they don't make as much money as a lot of these big four as these big 4 professional athletes, but something is to be said about the way they have handled this so far, the plan they have created, and I think people should acknowledge them for that and look at the way they handled it to go along with the NBA. So I think that was a great job. Now we are going to switch to the NBA a little bit. We talked about him a little bit last week. Jayden wasn't too pleased with it. Kyrie Irving. Any thoughts? I know he left the Nets group chat supposedly after someone snitched on him. We'll get to snitching later, trust me. But
listen, I mean, we can't give him too much crap because the own league is just that's a little bit of an odd idea.
We're gonna make our own league. We're gonna do it ourselves,
up there with
man.
The flat Earth ideas for Kyrie, but I mean, it's just his intentions are good. Like I can't fault him for wanting to just keep the focus on what's going on right now.
Yeah.
It's not like this is him just casually stirring the pot as he did reportedly in Boston, earlier in Brooklyn, and sometimes in Cleveland. This is him legitimately making a full-hearted effort to make something good for basketball. So, and also no snitches.
I said it before. I'll say it again. If Kevin Durant was playing and he was full-fledged, I still think that Kyrie would be getting ready for this upcoming season, or the continuing of whatever you want to call this season. It's been such a mess. But if he had a dominant team like he's had in the past, maybe with the Cavaliers, or had a good solid group around him with the Nets, I think he would be more than happy to continue. But given that he's on that bubble and it's going to be a tough road ahead for him, I think he much rather sit out.
And he is one of the most captivating sort of storylines the NBA has seen. I mean, like Connor said, he stirring the pot in Boston. Now does he stir the pot in Brooklyn? Like, he won a championship with LeBron. He made that shot late over Steph Curry to give Cleveland the victory, to go along with LeBron's block, of course. Now, what happens if he can all of a sudden start winning in Brooklyn? I mean, if you think about it, in 20 years, I mean, there's going to be plenty of more Kyrie storylines likely throughout the rest of his career. I mean, Kyrie's documentary, I mean, you would have no problem creating any suspense or conflict in that documentary. I mean, that would be easy. You would have to, it would be pick your poison here. Which conflict should I choose? Now, but at the same time, though, Connor, completely understand what you're saying. You want to keep your eye on social reform. And I think all NBA players are thinking that. Just Kyrie thinks we could do it a different way. And I think some of this drama is being overblown because of his past, who he is, what has happened in the past. He's created problems with former teams. He's wanted out of other teams. But, I mean, I think Kyrie, I don't know. It's tough. I probably
you
shouldn't
say
say
it's being
this.
overblown.
Listen,
It's being overblown for a reason, because not just he has a reputation, but the media portrays him as just this guy who just wants to
Exactly.
create this everything. I mean, Woj tweeted out the story, Kyrie the disruptor. Like, how are you
That's how
going
it's
to
been
say
portrayed,
that's
yeah.
unbiased or just like cold cut news? Like, you can't just have your top NBA reporter casually referring to one player as the disruptor.
Yeah.
Well, Dane, you said something like, what happens if Kyrie starts to win in Brooklyn? What happens if he starts to lose in Brooklyn? They get the whole free agent market starts to move over there. He starts to move, and what's it called? Him and Kevin Durant, and now they have this whole squad together ready to play. It's like, oh, we spent all this money, and now they're losing? Come on. Like that's my fear for Kyrie Irving, because he is a magnificent player on the court individually, but when it comes to team play, I think that's where he struggles. And basketball's a team sport.
Exactly. If this game was one, granted, he's a great player, but
Yeah, no one
He's
has
a great
ever said
Robin.
no one has ever said
One of
that
the
he's
best
not.
Robins
Exactly.
in the game.
And
No one
he's
has ever said that he's not.
arguably, you can make an argument that he has the best handle ever to play in the
Yeah,
NBA.
100%.
You can make an argument
Yeah.
about that. And, of course, his talent, and we'll see how things work out. Now, Connor Glunt came up with this segment. We're going to switch and let you take the reins. NBA superlatives. So, Connor, start us off. Here we go.
Yeah, so who doesn't love a good little superlative hypothetical game? So just have a couple of categories. Jaden, I know you might have been kind of late, but this is kind of a lob up one. First, we're going with celebrity most likely to sneak inside the bubble. Dane, what's your pick?
Kendall Jenner.
Oh. Jaden, you got one?
Hey,
yet?
listen,
Inside
he
of the
creates
bubble?
problems. Like, I think it was the Ben Simmons thing. She's probably going to try and sneak in and ruin a team's day, get a guy attracted to her or something like that. And all of a sudden that team's going to go off the railroad tracks. And so a lot of people might go with Drake, but I just feel like Kendall Jenner will try and sneak in there. What about you guys?
I'm going with Drizzy Drake. Yeah, there's no way he does not get in there. And I'll if the Knicks are in it, I would give Spike Lee. But think of any super fan that would want to go see their team play. Obviously, the Knicks ain't gonna be anywhere close to that bubble. But Drake, he'll be in there. With his little drink or something like that.
Drake's gonna come in with like the glasses and the mustache type of look. Like he's legitimately going to.
He could be. He could pass as the mascot for the Raptors.
Yeah,
Be like,
he's
I'm
gonna
an
be
essential
the new
worker
mascot.
here.
No, Drake was probably my second choice, but first one, Rich Paul is always pulling the strings
Okay.
behind the scenes. He's gonna be there. They won't even know it. Everyone's gonna know it like 3 months after it ends, and then it's gonna be like, wait a minute, Rich Paul's there already. So now we're moving over to the players. One of the weirdest rules that Woj tweeted out was no doubles ping pong, and that players must try to keep social distancing. So we're gonna go with best singles ping pong player.
Devin Booker. I mean, the guy's already known to be good at ping pong. So he's known to be really good at ping pong. And you got a bunch of young guns in his hotel, in the yacht club or whatever. That's mostly a young hotel. Man, he's going to crush everybody. I got Devin Booker in that one. Personally, I think I'm a pretty good ping pong player myself.
I'm not.
But you're not? I'm
You
just
know who's
kidding. I'm
filthy?
okay.
Matt
Who's filthy?
Sossler is filthy at ping
He's
pong.
got the
Really?
tennis background though.
Filthy.
I know he played
Filthy.
tennis, but he's good at
I've
ping
never
pong?
seen the ball spin. Like, he puts the spin on that ball.
Oh,
Like, it had my legs were crossed. I couldn't move, bro. It had me sauced.
Really?
Yeah. It was really bad. It was really. He's a monster. Monster at ping pong.
That
like who's your pick?
boggles
Other than
my
Matt
mind.
Salzberg, who's your pick, Jay?
My pick, when I think ping pong, I think international. I'm gonna go Luka Doncic. I think he'd be the
I
best.
thought
one.
about that.
I think
See,
he'd be the best one.
I would have went Kyrie if I was for sure knowing he was going down there, just because I was kind of thinking, all right, handles, quick hands. But I'm gonna go Marcus Smart. I think he's gonna get inside everyone's head, and he plays great defense.
Okay, great.
Defense on ping pong.
If he gets hit with a ping pong
Yeah.
ball, he'll probably flop over 20 feet back.
Oh.
Yeah, and Devin Booker's gonna go lose a best of 7 and 4, but
Didn't
he's gonna
Devin
go,
Booker win the
lose
2K
19 to
tournament too?
21 every game. Empty stats.
I think Devin Booker won the 2K tournament too.
The video games are different for ping pong, though. Ping
Yeah,
pong is-
but he's
it's,
good
you
at
know, it's more
both,
of a-
man.
All right.
Where's the
He's a
correlation?
Devin Booker's a renaissance man. What am I
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. All right, next category, we got most likely to sit in their room all day.
Ooh. Oh, Jimmy Butler.
Really?
Yes. Like, I read an article of when he was in Minnesota.
Well, there's nothing to do in Minnesota.
Let me-
Sorry to all the Minnesotans. That's it. We just lost the whole.
granted,
We just lost the whole
Hey,
market.
nothing
Sorry,
to do with
guys.
Minnesota, but like during his offseason when he was with the Timberwolves, he just sat in some isolated cabin or whatever, the whole offseason, worked on his game and was just isolated, thought to himself, and everything was great for him. I think he's just going to chill out and relax, because if he goes out there, I feel like a guy like Jimmy Butler could start a lot of beef real fast. So I think he's just going to keep to himself, focus on his game, and try and win a series for Miami.
I was thinking about Fungi Kawhi. I thought that was the obvious
the easy
choice.
answer.
I
Yeah,
thought that was the obvious choice.
Who I made the question in mind for. I'm surprised
Yeah.
Dane didn't go there.
That's
Fun
the
guy.
obvious choice. Fungi Kawhi.
Fun guys don't stay in their room.
Yeah, but that's the joke. He's a fun guy. Ha, ha. I don't really see him hitting the town. Maybe after he wins the
Tap the
championship.
bubble.
Then. Well,
Connor, who'd you have?
I kind of went an opposite way. I just went Josh Hart. He's just gonna stream. He's gonna stream.
I thought about that,
He's gonna
but
sit in his room all day and play video games.
he's gonna be with he's gonna be dancing around with Lonzo in the
No, he's
hotel
not.
and
Oh my God.
skip
Nah,
over.
all the
to
Lakers
find
crew
Kyle
is too
Going
tight.
lifting with
Yeah.
Lonzo after everyone saw that video.
No, he's gonna skip over and find Kyle Kuzma in the other hotel, and they'll start dancing in the lobby or something like that and roasting each other. Oh my gosh, yeah. Pick the next one. I disagree with that vehemently, but
This one's kind of tough. Took me a little bit to think of it, but most fun coach. I want to hear what you guys, because mine's kind of like a curveball.
go with yours first, because
I went Pop.
I thought about that.
Like
But I
my
just don't think
thought
he's gonna be
process is
fun.
the Spurs don't really have a chance at making at getting out of the bubble or into the playoff. So I'm just assuming that he's going to be the fun grandparent and let his kids do whatever they want in the hotel.
Yeah, I went with Alvin Gentry because he's got so many young kids, the New Orleans Pelicans. Kind of the same reason you went with Pop.
That's a good one.
He's a young coach. He's personable. He relates to guys, and he's got a really young team. And I just feel like he can relate to them, hang out with them, and I think he's got all the love with his players. Jaden,
All the coaches I'm thinking about are just
hard-nosed.
hard. I feel like Nick Nurse would be the meanest coach if that was the question. But I don't know. I'm gonna go Doc Rivers. I think he's a fun guy. I think he's also fun. I don't know. He seems like someone that would have fun.
Okay.
I don't know. That's all I got.
we haven't got to my favorite ones yet, so we need to keep going.
Okay,
here.
this is good. All right, so our next one, you need two teams. Two teams most likely to start a hotel turf war.
Rockets and the 76ers.
Oh yeah.
I had that one. I listed three.
76ers for sure.
Just because of the Russell Embiid hate.
Yes, Rockets and the 76ers. I mean, I thought about some other teams. Luka Doncic, he's a feisty guy too on the court. If you watch him, he can talk a lot of smack. But I didn't pick him.
Who's gonna hate Luka,
You got
though?
Russ, you got James Harden. I mean, Kyle O'Quinn's not a guy who's going to keep his mouth shut necessarily. I don't think. I've seen him talk some smack in games, and of course, Joel Embiid. I mean, you saw the actual fight he got in with Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay,
and we need more of that in the NBA. Sorry, I'm going to advocate for more of that. I think Rex Chapman he went viral on Twitter like a year and a half ago. Former basketball player at Kentucky, has a bunch of followers on Twitter. His pinned tweet is something about like nothing will be like the basketball in the 80s or 90s. And it was just guys hammering each other down to the floor, fights. It was beautiful. And, like, they wouldn't even get thrown out of the game for it. Now, granted, they should get thrown out of the game. But, like,
let's kind of nudge him
hockey
towards
fights.
it.
Why can't we see a basketball fight every now and then, man? Rockets and 76ers.
I'm going to go 76ers 100% for sure. I don't think Houston – I don't think Houston would be the team to do. I think it would be the Lakers to put up. When I think of a turf war, I'm thinking of, oh, this is our side of the bar. You're not allowed to touch this. This is us. Like, you're not allowed to come here at all. Like, that's what I think of, like, a hotel turf war. That's that. So, the two teams just going to butt heads. The 76ers, I think, going to be the most out of everybody. We hate the 76ers. We hate them so much. I don't know why.
I have another 76ers player on my list with this.
Okay.
But, Connor, who'd you have for the turf war?
Turf war. So I had 3. I picked 3, and I really wanted to do 4 because I wanted to figure out a team that I could pit against OKC just so I could rework Chris Paul using like the back tunnels, like how they did the Clippers. I just wanted to be able to just if there was a beef there, but no, I said the 2 LA teams because they're technically already in a turf war, and then just literally everyone against Utah.
Wow! Oh, that's so good.
Everyone against Utah.
Yeah, Utah is gonna get they're not gonna get any. Like, they're not even get those little shampoos in the hotel room. They're not even gonna give them to them. They just say, "Forget you guys." Like, good luck.
No, we got one coming up that involves a pool. I almost picked Rudy Gobert for that one, but I decided not to. Oh my gosh! I
didn't use that one, Dane. Never mind.
You didn't use that one?
No.
So basically, Connor came
up
with one.
You were going to use Joel, weren't you?
I was not going to use Joel. I was going to do Connor came up with one idea, and it was most likely to get injured in the hotel pool. I came up with Matisse Thybulle for the Philadelphia 76ers. Listen, 76ers love to, like, bully this rookie. I mean, I think it's hysterical. Like, Kyle O'Quinn, all those guys, he is, like, the class clown of the Philadelphia 76ers team. And honestly, if you ask the 76ers team, I think they would say Matisse Thybulle. They think he would do something stupid and, like, stub his toe or break his foot jumping into the pool or something like that. But I can't believe we didn't use that one. Do we have any more?
Oh, yeah, we have I think 5 more.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 5 more. All right, so this is one of my favorite ones. Most likely to show up way too early for the free continental breakfast.
Oh, my God. Connor, you should go first. I like mine, though.
Zion.
Yes.
If there's any doubt.
I went with Zion as well. I don't
know who else.
What's the reasoning?
He's just a monster. Like,
he's just a big guy that's just going to steal the food.
He needs to get his biscuits so they go in the basket in the afternoon, like, come nighttime. Like, he needs to eat, like, those 6 biscuits with white gravy in the morning, get those eggs going, couple glasses of orange juice, maybe an omelet here or there.
If it was before quarantine, I might have said Nikola Jokic, but now I don't know. Maybe Zion would be a good one.
All right.
Yeah. I was thinking Boban, too.
That's a good one. All right. So next superlative is most likely to enforce a team curfew. Me, personally, I went with Jimmy Butler. I feel like the Heat – I almost went LeBron here, but Heat are just a young team. Butler's just going to be cracking the whip over them the entire time. He's making sure they're not getting an early playoff exit. They came to Florida. They're not leaving. They're not leaving early.
Tyler Hero's going to try and leave the camp. He's going to try and – be out with all the ladies, him, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, all those young guns.
No, that's going to be hard.
Bam Adebayo. It'll be tough to control that team. Jaden, do you have a player?
I'm either going to go LeBron or JJ Redick. I think I'm going to go LeBron.
Ooh, I like the JJ Redick.
I think I'm going to go LeBron.
I like the JJ.
JJ Redick. This was tough for me. I thought about LeBron for a while. But I'm going to go with Kyle Lowry.
Ooh.
Just an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're
I feel like Nick Nurse would be the one to tell him to tell all everyone else.
But Kyle Lowry's disciplined guy, knows what he's doing, won a championship last year, saying, hey, if we need a chance, if we need a chance this year, we got to get our 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Get up, get ready to go, man. We can't be behind sleep. We need every advantage we can get. So that's why I'm going with him. Interesting choice. Now, we have no background knowledge on any of these players. We don't know any of these NBA players. So if anyone watches this like in a few years or something and we ever know an NBA player and we like pick on them for being a snitch or like to start a turf war, we apologize. But it's just our general thoughts. It's how you act on the court. So, don't hate on us. We here dribbling around, love everybody, right?
Oh my
All right,
God.
Connor, how many
Just
more
the
we got?
off chance that this somehow gives to like some NBA player, just someone that we offend, and it's
Like
like
a 2% chance.
I'm calling around.
Yeah,
Hi, Josh
no.
Hart. How you
Less than
doing?
1%.
Good
Yeah,
to
hey,
see
Josh.
ya. How you doing?
It's not a dig, but all right. So this one, you had to know which teams were in which hotel. Who's got the most fun hotel?
The yacht club. The
Mhm.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
You have
I think it's a
Pelicans.
snooty.
You have all these young guns with Zion, Ja Morant, and all those players. De'Aaron Fox, who's super fun, with Buddy Hield and all those guys.
Your vast
So
personal
you got the
experience being
Kings,
around De'Aaron Fox.
and you
Super
got
fun.
super fun, and you got the veteran you need in the hotel, and Carmelo Anthony with the Portland Trailblazers. Plus, you just said he's fun, Greg Popovich.
Okay, yeah.
So you're gonna go with the second one. You're gonna go with the Grand Floridian, aren't you?
Oh, of course. And I only need one reason. Toby and Bobby. We got the Mavs and the Sixers in the same hotel. They're reunited. What
Toby.
more do you want? We're gonna get great vlogs.
The yacht club. It's young and fun.
Yeah, I'm
You
gonna go
can
with the yacht
game.
club. It's like you put in a frat house on a boat. So yeah, that's how you do it.
Right. I mean, I feel like the Grand Destino, the main the team,
The top
hotel
one.
with the top 8 teams. I feel like that is just gonna be like the most
That's gonna be the most boring one.
stern hotel. Like, let's go to bed at 8 p.m. Let's wake
Yeah.
up at 10 a.m. Go to shoot around. Let's get our buckets in. You ready to win the game? Let's win a championship, baby.
I can see, dude. I should have mentioned this as my turf war one, but I could just see Pat Bev just somehow sneaking into like everyone else's room and like just doing something stupid.
I had Pat
stealing all
Bev
the
for what?
toilet
Did you not
paper.
do this other one?
No, trust me, that's the next one. Most likely
Oh.
to heckle every game they're not
Pat
playing.
Bev.
Pat
Pat
Bev.
Bev.
Pat Bev.
100%.
Every
100%.
single game.
Yeah, I guess
Every
you gotta
day.
give it to Patrick Beverly. He's one of the only guys in the league right now that plays like strong New York style basketball, where it's just a lot of talk, but a lot of just running around on defense. You know?
plays New York-
that's all he
you
does.
said
He
New York
tricks
style
everyone into thinking
basketball?
He's good. All he
Yeah,
does is
he
keep
plays
it's a
in
lot
LA.
of it's a lot exactly, but he plays New York style ball, where it's a lot of talking, a lot of defense, but I don't know, offensively a little suspect. But
It's just
Still
I
makes
can't
his
wait for
buckets.
Ben Simmons to finally be at like the free throw line or to like beyond the arc and thinking, all right, no fans, I'm gonna be fine. And then you hear Pat Bev in the nosebleeds like, shoot that, you won't.
There might be a few expletives added in
it's
there.
gonna be the
but-
new
Oh, yeah,
Spike Lee. He's
for
gonna do
sure.
The jump.
For sure. Do we have one more, Connor? This one was my favorite.
Yes, and I made this for strictly one player in mind, most likely to overuse the snitch hotline.
Chris Paul.
This was probably my favorite part to come out of like all the rules, but yeah, it's definitely going to be
Chris
Chris
Paul.
Is okay, you
Off
went with Chris
chance
Paul
of
too?
LeBron. Off chance of LeBron, but Chris Paul.
I wouldn't say LeBron would do it.
Listen,
I would say people that were trying to get at the top 3 teams. Yeah, Chris Paul could probably be the guy.
Yeah,
Maybe D'Angelo
exactly.
Russell's
The Thunder
gonna
are trying to get
sneak
every
his way
advantage
over
they
there.
can. Chris Paul, he's big in the NBA PA, so yeah, I would pick him. I'm surprised Connor picked him as well because he's a Thunder guy. I thought he would have been like, what?
Oh?
Really?
No, I don't take offense to that. I
Oh,
legit said that earlier. I wanted to somehow work into the OKC turf war just so I could use the like the back tunnels because that was one of the best storylines ever
that
to
was
come, like
insane.
of the last decade.
comment below if you think our answers are correct. Any other player you think would be maybe most likely to use a snitch hotline, most likely to hurt themselves in a hotel pool, most fun coach, most likely to start a hotel turf war, you name it. So comment below on the YouTube channel. Next, we're going to move to the upcoming NBA free agent class. Underwhelming, to say the least. I mean, you got Anthony Davis in there, but who are the main guys you're tuned into? I mean, Anthony Davis is really the only one. And actually, before I ask who the guys you're tuned into, obviously, I think the break hurts the incoming free agents, but do you think this break helps or hurts the incoming free agents?
I think it helps everyone. I mean, all the top really free agents that I looked into, they're playing in Orlando, so it's just going to be an extra little showcase for them to kind of just get them rested and healed and play against the best teams in the league. So I think it doesn't really. I don't see how it can hurt them just because it's kind of like, all right, we gave you an extra 2 months, 3 months rest. Now we're just throwing you in the gauntlet against some of the best teams and players in the league. So it's really just like a put up or shut up type of scenario.
Yeah, I think it's a helpful factor too. I think just because that it's such a strong class the year later, that it's also helpful for a lot of the guys that are sort of on that bubble of, do I want to resign them, do I not want to resign them, and to a lot of players that are coming into these teams that, hey, look, this is what we did. We re-signed all these people. We're trying to build a team, and this team will be for you, right? So, like Giannis, for example, 2 years down the line, when he might move out of Milwaukee, as it's
I don't think he will.
rumored.
That's
a big discussion. I think
I hope
he
he
has never had that. He's never said that. Oh, I'm a lifelong. What do you call?
But
people from
he's
Milwaukee?
never said
Milwaukee?
he's interested in leaving
Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Milwaukee.
But at the same time,
Milwaukee.
you have to think about these other free agents, though. I mean, you got your top main free agents. They're going to get signed. They're going to get their money,
Mhm.
right? But what about the other, like, 15 to 50 top free agents
Yeah.
in the class? They have less time to negotiate, and they're more likely to take a cheaper deal just because the offseason is shorter. And then all of a sudden, they're left with a cheaper deal in the season. Now, granted, I mean, maybe they'll take a cheaper deal to play with a better team more because of this. I don't know. But I think that less negotiating time, it's going to put a lot more pressure on agents, especially when you have non-top free agents. Say, for instance, like Derek Favors or a Marc Gasol or a Paul Millsap or a Serge Ibaka or someone like that. It puts some pressure on some of those guys and their agents to really get a deal done because they don't want to start the season late, whereas in a regular offseason, they'd have a couple more months.
You see, I think this bubble and like extended season is going to lead to like a handful of role player guys getting paid like their starters after like a helpful playoff run. I feel like this is just setting teams up to overpay for maybe like badly overpay for like 3 to 6 guys, like how Timothy Mozgov got 18 million, I think, from the Cavs after like his first season there, and that contract was just an albatross. So I think that there's definitely going to be a couple of teams that will cripple themselves in the future just overpaying some of these role players simply because they're maybe 1 or 2 key players away from a championship, but they don't want to wait till the next free agency class.
Now, the main free agent in this upcoming class is Anthony Davis. Personally, there's been rumors. He's been photoshopped in a Knicks jersey, as is every other player in the NBA.
every player's just a
Every
Knicks
player's
jersey at one
photoshopped in a
point.
Knicks jersey.
No matter what, you could be anybody. You're a Knick at
There's
one
been
point.
rumors he might return to Chicago in his hometown, but, I mean, come on. Seriously? You guys don't think he's leaving, do you?
He's not going to go play for Bloom.
Yeah.
He's not going to go to the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
He might opt out, but it's only to get a better contract. He's going to be a Laker for a couple years. He's going to re-up with the Lakers, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, I same point. I do think he's going to opt out of his contract, but just to go back with the Lakers. There's no reason to leave LeBron James. Not now. Not now.
Now, some other free agents I'm looking at in this class, I'm looking at a top 10 list right now. Brandon Ingram's a restricted free agent. I would find it hard to believe that New Orleans would not match any type of offer sheet. I would find it hard. He's an all-star probably for years to come if he stays healthy.
Yeah. I think he's going to I think he turned himself into a max contract or close to a max contract type of guy. And I'm not saying he deserves that type of pay. However, the landscape this year and him being a restricted free agent, I'm sure one team is going to offer him at least close to a max. And New Orleans is going to have no option but to match it just because he's only like, I still think 22 or 23. Like he was young whenever we were writing him off on the Lakers. So now he comes into New Orleans, really develops and shows his potential. He might not be done improving.
That's one of the things I don't like about – you said we wrote him off at such a young age. Like, again, we're writing a lot of these players off, and they're 22, 23. They're not in their primes yet. They enter the league not physically developed enough at 19, 20. There's so many of these guys, and then they don't perform to their draft pick in the first 3, 4, maybe even 5 years of their career. They kind of get laid off by a team, and then all of a sudden they like bloom like a nice flower, and once the spring comes, and it took a long time. They've been hibernating in the winter, I guess you could use that as a good analogy, and they're finally ready to perform well in the NBA. So I think Brandon Ingram's a fantastic example of that. Other free agents, Gordon Hayward and DeMar DeRozan with a player option. I think DeRozan's a really interesting scenario because I find it hard to believe that he'd want to stay in San Antonio. I could be wrong,
opting out.
but like he's a guy that's a really good scorer that could probably going to be paid a lot of money. But if he goes to a contender, I mean, he's that other piece that a championship team could need.
DeRozan, a lot of people were shocked when he left, when he got traded out of Toronto for Kawhi, but obviously it worked given the championship. He's a special guy. He can play ball, and he adds that aspect to a team that a lot of other players can't. So I do see him getting a solid deal, and he 100% deserves to get paid. And it's honestly a shame that he didn't get to write it out with that Toronto team. It's just the way it's all just business. But he doesn't deserve to get paid down the line. 100%.
Yeah, I think he might be a little bit underpaid this summer just because this Spurs team is underperformed.
Yeah.
And I don't really put all that on him because the Spurs are getting older and the Western Conference is just getting more and more teams are improving. I mean, we got Dallas turning into a playoff contender now, Sacramento, New Orleans. So, I mean, you can't really fault Spurs for somewhat falling behind because DeRozan obviously isn't the player that Kawhi is. So, however, I mean, I'd like to see him go be not a 1B, but a Robin on a team with that needs a superstar.
I could see him being a 1B. I really do.
I mean, it depends who that 1A is, though, because we saw in Toronto for years with him and Kyle Lowry. Granted, Kyle Lowry isn't really exactly a 1A. I think we saw him as like almost a 2A, 2B last year with him and Siakam being those two guys. So it depends.
But Lowry, he could play that role.
Lowry can play that for sure. It's going to be interesting to see where he falls. I hope he goes to a contender. He deserves it. So
100%.
He should get paid, though.
Yeah. Other unrestricted free agents, you got Fred VanVleet, a good unrestricted guard. And the other two I want to talk about, Danilo Gallinari and Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell, I mean, he would have to take a pay cut, I believe, from the LA Clippers because
he's
of how
already
much
not getting paid that much either.
I know, exactly. So he would have to take a pay cut because he's been really good in the pick and roll with Lou Williams. So at kind of a double-double machine this year. I mean, if the Clippers didn't have him, I mean, it's almost like you'd favor the Lakers. He's such a big piece of that team that sometimes people forget about. But I want to start with Gallinari. Connor, do you think the Thunder should try and re-sign him? He's probably going to demand a decent amount of money. He's a dead-eye from three. Great 3-4 guy to have in your starting lineup to go along with maybe a star or two. What do you think the Thunder should do with him?
You see, this is just a really interesting situation just because like it was kind of surprising he wasn't traded at the deadline. It was nice to see the Presti and owner and just the management just say, all right, have fun this season, but we still got the treasure trove of draft picks. So honestly, I couldn't tell you whether or not they should or shouldn't, just because if you blow this team up and just let him walk, all right, you still have Chris Paul. You're still going to have a decent team that could be on the bubble. So really it's just a matter of, okay, what's the term and length that you want? And could this fit our schedule? Because as long as Chris Paul is there, I still think they're going to have a really good 3-guard rotation, and they're still going to compete for a playoff spot. So there's really not much like good in just letting him walk and saying, all right, we're just going to try and contend for a playoff spot a little bit less next year, because chances are you still have a good enough team to make the 8 seed at least. So it's really just going to depend on what the market is for Gallinari. I could see him getting paid around $25 million, and that might price out the Thunder, but I could like a team like Miami might be able to use him.
Yeah, like it really depends on how much he's asking for, you know. And let's say he does get that 25, right? Yeah, I doubt that he stays with OKC. You know, he's getting a little bit up there in age as well. Yeah, he's been able to play, but at the same time, do you really want to give him that amount of money, especially when you're looking to make a push that surprisingly came out of nowhere, right? And that goes with almost everybody you could talk about in the league, especially Harrell, right? Can the Clippers use him? 100% because he's balled out, but can a lot of other teams use him? 100% also.
I mean, you mentioned Gallinari to Miami. to add another shooter of that caliber to that
I mean,
team.
I thought he was actually supposed to I thought there was a trade that just
Yeah.
fell through.
Yeah.
At the
That's what I
deadline.
that would have been a huge get for the Heat, and even if they get him
Exactly.
that this offseason, that would be a huge get. Now, no disrespect to Montrezl Harrell. I already talked about his contributions a few minutes ago for the Clippers. But he seems like one of those guys that's going to sign a bigger contract with sort of a non-contender this offseason because he played well, when I'd really like to see him go to a contender because he can be that maybe third, fourth guy that can really be a vital piece to a championship team. I don't know where those two will go, but we'll have to
I feel
see.
like he could be a good fit in Boston.
Harrell?
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, if
Everyone
I
would
don't think
be
they
a
can make
good
it
fit in
work,
Brad Stevens' system, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I
with
mean-
Kemba Walker there too. Yeah,
I
it
think
would
he'd be an
Jason
upgrade
Tatum.
over Cantor overall.
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean, it just depends. I think Harrell's going to probably command between 15 and 20, I'd say. I don't think he's going to get over 20. But
I
again,
think he
just,
might.
just
depends,
because this free agent, there's few slim pickings in this free
Mhm.
agency class, he might. In any other free agency class, I'd peg him as a 15 to 20. So
Mhm.
it's going to depend. But Dane, to your point, I also he just kind of fits the mold as one of those guys that really just overperforms his contract on a really good team. But once he gets paid, I could see him kind of slip off, but not totally.
Now, looking at the top 30 free agents, none of them are with the Brooklyn Nets. Speaking of the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant and Kendrick Perkins. That beef, that lasted all the way back since January, early February. I mean, granted, I'm going to blame most of this on Kevin Durant. Okay, listen. Sorry, KD.
I'll go last.
I'm going to blame most of this on KD. It all started with Kendrick Perkins said, I'm going to explain why Russell Westbrook is Mr. Thunder in 30 minutes on so-and-so program on ESPN. I forget what it was, right? And I actually think Russell Westbrook is Mr. Thunder. He played there longer. And Connor, I'm sure you would agree with that as well. Absolutely. And then KD tweets back something stupid or something like that, and then it gets into some beef, and they say, oh, yeah, we had a great series where Kendrick Perkins averaged Kendrick Perkins said he gave up a 3-1 lead to the Warriors or something like that. And he's like, yeah, great series. Our starting center averaged 2 points and 3 boards a game, a.k.a. that was Kendrick Perkins. But Perkins obviously is going to tweet that. He's paid to voice his opinion now. He's on ESPN. You're having beef with an analyst that obviously didn't have as good as an NBA career as you, obviously had his fair share of NBA mistakes, was on Shaqtin' a Fool many a times. But, I mean, come on, Kevin Durant. Just because he went after Kyrie, granted he went after your teammate, but now you're making this big show on social media that everyone gets to
listen.
Why
He's been known for doing this his whole career. So if it was anybody else, I would feel otherwise. But Perkins knew exactly what he was getting into by calling out Kevin Durant. Perkins wanted that attention. Kevin Durant obviously gave it to him and gave him the business.
Granted, but why is Kevin Durant doing this?
Because he's been doing that his whole career. I don't see a problem with it. To be
I-
honest, I feel like more players should.
I don't
He's
feel like
right.
more players should. I mean, granted, you have
Listen,
a right to
if
voice
it
your
was
opinion,
anybody else, if it was anyone else
adds-
besides Kendrick freaking Perkins, yeah, I think you're allowed to make his comment.
but it adds
Katie's right.
it adds unneeded drama to a
Pains me to
team.
say it.
It's not like he was on the court, so if he was playing, right, then maybe it's a little different. This dude's been an injury on sideline all season.
You want to focus on basketball, right? So if you get in all these Twitter fights, these Twitter fiascos that you're getting into, in the media, you don't want these unwanted questions. You want to focus on the game ahead of you. You want to focus on basketball. You don't want this other media sideshow taking control of your team.
But Kevin
and
Durant
right now, the Brooklyn
consistently
Nets
has been able to
the Brooklyn
ball
Nets
out.
have their two superstars that are injured, and everyone's focused on their off-the-court issues right now. Granted, Kyrie's off-the-court issue is a valiant issue. Obviously, we still need that social reform again. But at the same time, no one's really when we talk about the Brooklyn Nets, we think about their two superstars and what they're saying off the court. We don't think about
Because
Spencer
they're not
Dinwiddie,
playing. If they were
Harrison.
playing, then it might be a little bit different.
We'd be talking about Kevin Durant
no.
averaging 30 and Kyrie
Yeah.
25.
We wouldn't be talking
We'd
about
be talking about
if the Nets were
what the
playing. We
Nets are
wouldn't
going
be
to get the
talking
2 or
about.
the 3 seed.
And for Perkins, it's so easy for him to take that jab because he's not playing right now. Neither of them are
Obviously,
right now.
but
It's so
Perkins
easy for
is
him to
paid
take
by
that easy
ESPN
jab.
now.
Let me just get my
He
2
wants to
cents
do
in
that.
because it's been
Like
just
Connor
you
did,
guys
like
back
Connor
and
did.
forth. But KD is right. And I hate to say this, but KD is right because Perk just runs his mouth way too much on TV. Like, I get it. If you're a good player, talk your talk on TV once you retire. But this is just a little side event. But him and Ryan Hollins have a job for one reason, because they sucked at basketball. Like, they're just puppets to spew terrible takes to increase interaction.
They sucked on the NBA level.
Like Kendrick Perkins wasn't solid in his days with the Celtics. Don't act like
Perkins was terrible.
No, he was not bad with the Celtics. He has a ring for a reason.
He was an offensive black hole, and all he did was just sit in the paint.
He was good for about 2 years. 2 years with Boston. That's about it.
And that makes you qualified to call out the best players in the world? Get out of here. No,
I think
him and Hollins only have a job because they sucked at basketball, because no good player is willing to put their legacy on the line except for Paul Pierce and just go spew terrible takes online.
It depends who says it. It really does. If Shaq came out on TNT and said the same exact thing, we were having a very different conversation because it's Shaquille O'Neal, not Kendrick Perkins.
You're saying, Connor, you said he's spewing terrible takes. His original take was that Russell Westbrook was Mr. Thunder, and KD responded.
I'm saying that's
like, why are you responding to that in the first place?
Blanket statements that everything is bad. He has just some of the most misinformed takes that I have ever seen, and it pisses me off because it gets the rise out of me that he's aiming for.
Yeah.
Like, you mean to say that that people actually believe 100% of the stuff he or Ryan Hollins said? Ryan Hollins tweeted out yesterday, COVID-19 is drawing a line between the real hoopers and the fake ones. You mean to tell me that
why are we bringing Hollins into this?
Scottie Pippen is going to go on the jump stick next
to
Rachel Nichols and say that? Grant Hill's going to say that? Even Shaq or Barkley wouldn't even say that. Get out of here.
But Shaq and Barkley sort of have the right to say those type of things, given the career that they've had.
KD, Perkins.
Like, if you're going to put former players on TV, make sure they can validate their arguments, because no one wants to listen to Ryan. Like, I get it, Ryan Hollins, you put your years in. Yeah. You too, Perkins, you put your years in. You had a solid, at best, career. No one really wants to go to YouTube for your basketball opinions. Granted, I'm a college sophomore with absolutely no experience.
Perkins.
But I'm sharing my opinion. I'm not telling you what to think.
Perkins, obviously, he's with ESPN now. So basically, he's going to do this for the rest of his career pretty much. And he's just going to come with unsolicited opinions on television and maybe without backup information, talk about this. Basically, he did this. Actually, it was a valid statement. KD took the bait and started this whole Twitter war. And obviously, Perkins didn't do too well after that. He actually recently said, hey, I probably should have just said that wasn't meant toward you, man. But he started to fire back. KD took the bait. And when you take the bait, you create unnecessary drama, which a lot of organizations aren't for. And it's all around sports. Now, granted, it's not huge drama. It's not like he's doing anything to anybody on the team. But I just don't like that. I like when players express themselves on social media. Well, when you get in fights with other players, former players, and just little itty-bitty things. We all know Kevin Durant's a way better player than Kendrick Perkins. We all know Kevin Durant's a surefire Hall of Famer, and Kendrick Perkins will never even come close. So if he's coming after you, why do you even care?
Listen, we can't be too mad. They're not arguing about political issues. They're not arguing about race. They're not arguing about religion. They're arguing about basketball. And if any two people in the world are qualified to talk about basketball, it's people that have played in the NBA and played at a professional level. So they're allowed to bicker at each other as much as they want. Obviously, as fans, we get all involved and all entrenched in it. But at the end of the day, it's not as serious as it really is. You know, it's literally who's Mr. Thunder. And you can make the argument for Westbrook. You can make the argument for KD. But at the end of the day, they're allowed to have their opinion about ball. 100%.
Heated, to say the least. But kicking off with a segment we did last week, our second team out of the 8 that did not make the NBA 22-team bubble. Last week we did the New York Knicks. Got a little bit heated about them with James Dolan. This week, a team that's been in the spotlight the past few years, the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, one of the worst records in the NBA after winning 3 out of the last 4 finals before Toronto won last year. So what do you guys think They should do. I mean, they're in a decent spot. Clay's coming back. Steph's coming back. But who do you think they should take in the draft? Who do you think fits their system the best? Connor, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I think they're going to be fine. They're going to have a healthy Steph and Clay. They're going to have Draymond Green, which, yeah, he's a little bit overrated now, and he's not what he was in 15-16. However, he's still going to be that's still a good third piece to have. Now we have Andrew Wiggins either as a sixth man. Depends who they go in the draft. They could go Edwards or Ball.
Edwards.
And then I think Edwards would be a good fit there. And then you just either have him or Wiggins be the sixth man. Or you could go Wiseman and get a center and play Green at the four. So really, this team has no weaknesses that can outweigh their strengths whenever they're at even 80%. They're still the best three-point team in the game. They're still one of the best offenses. They have one of the best offensive minds running the game, and Steve Kerr from the bench. No need to fret. This team is going to be a top 4 team in the West next year if they're barring injuries. Yeah. So there's really nothing to really critique here. It's just probably draft best that fits the system. Maybe Toppin or Wiseman, but
Dade, I don't know why you're shaking your head at. I think we should all be
who
like.
Who comes off their bench?
I think we
Eric
should all
Pascal,
be. No one has ever came off their bench. I don't care what anybody said. No one has ever came off their bench. Their bench has always been weak. Their bench has always been weak. It's always been a starting roster offense.
Listen, that first.
Yeah, their bench obviously is support pieces, but support pieces
what
around
is their
the
motto?
main stars in the game.
Hey, who comes off the bench for the Lakers?
Sean Livingston. Okay,
yeah, okay.
LeBron James.
Yes, but listen.
Let me finish though. Let me make my point. Their motto was strength in numbers.
In numbers.
First championship.
Okay, strength in numbers.
You had Iguodala. You had David Lee.
Yes, but remember, these are all players that are either past their prime or play a major role in being support pieces in the Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant of the world, right? So now, it's not really that hard to find a lot of those pieces if you can work through and groom them into those type of players, right? It's a lot easier to groom a player into a role player than into a star. So listen, I think we should all be like unfathomably scared of the Warriors. Like we should be literally unfathomably scared of another Dallas. I'm saying
happy that this draft is terrible because imagine just like 2 years ago.
What I'm saying is they draft Wiseman, right? This could be very bold, but you look at what happened with the Spurs back in the 90s, right? They go on a dynasty run. They fall off for 1 year. They draft Tim Duncan. They go on another dynasty run. I think we could see that same thing. I could be very wrong, but I'm gonna put it out there in the world.
I don't think it's that far-fetched.
I really don't think so either. Because it's not like Clay and Curry are playing bad. They're just not playing because they're hurt.
Mm-hmm. They need depth. Granted, Curry and Clay only have a few more years left of their prime, right? But the years that they won those 2 championships, you had arguably you had a top 2 player in the game in Kevin Durant, so you won those 2 championships.
Mm-hmm.
You lost to LeBron, and then the year you beat LeBron, the first year, you had a whole slew of players coming off your bench.
Yeah, but
you don't necessarily have that big – I don't see Steph Curry as a top 5 player in the game anymore. He's not that 2-time MVP. Wow. I don't think he can play again at that 2-time MVP
it's the
level.
Recency bias. You haven't seen him in a long time.
Recency
I think
bias,
I think
maybe.
That might be it.
But if you put that Warriors team with a James Wiseman or Anthony Edwards and Steph, Clay, and Draymond, they don't challenge the Lakers in my eye.
I think so. You put one of the best. You put definitely challenge. You put one of the. You take one of the best point guard, shooting guard duos, and then pair them with the best center to come out of this draft. Whether it's Wiseman,
who on that team would guard against the Lakers and Clippers? Who on that team would guard LeBron and Anthony Davis? And then
you're sending Caruso out to guard Curry?
I think we've been having that conversation back since 2015. Who's going to be able to guard LeBron? Who's going to be able?
They had KD and a younger Draymond.
Yeah, the younger Dream, but Draymond can still play D. And the question is if he can play offense. That question is not if he can play defense anymore. The question is if he can play offense. So if you put a better piece like a Wiseman who averaged 30 points a game in college.
He played like 10 games, dude.
We don't even know if small sample size, but he still could ball. I think he could ball.
We don't even know if Wiseman's going to be a Warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously all depends on the lottery. We end up with the 5th pick, and now you're screwed. But we'll see where it falls. But
I think Edwards is
I
a
think
better
we should be
fit.
very scared.
But-
If the Warriors end up with the 1, I think we should be unfathomably scared that we're going to see a repeat of what has happened.
No, I think
The Warriors, if the
I think
Warriors,
they'll be a playoff team next year. I think a top 6 team. I do not see a top
I see
3
them
team
being
even.
top.
I see them as
being
the 3
easy
seed.
top 3. Easy top 3.
3 seed with the 2 LA teams, and then I
Yeah,
see Curry as the
easy.
5th best player in the league.
Yeah, I'm right there with Connor. Easy top 3.
I mean,
You could
Curry-
even like
Curry's
punching
not
with
gonna be better
the
than
Lakers
LeBron,
and Clippers.
KD, Harden. I think is my 3rd, and then Giannis. That's in no order. Don't criticize me for that. But those 4 players, I'm putting above Curry. Curry's going to be like around that 4, 5, 6 range.
We haven't seen them later in the reason why I'm saying this, we haven't seen them later in their careers without Kevin Durant, really. Except for those 2 games in Toronto. Like, what we haven't seen them really win right now without KD. We obviously saw them win before they won a championship without Kevin Durant. But that's why I'm so hesitant on these guys. They're older. Granted, do I think they could do it? Yes. Steph and Klay are arguably the 2 best shooters ever to shoot the basketball. Steph Curry is the best shooter ever.
Yeah.
But the Warriors, I mean, it's got to be recency bias for me. I just haven't seen.
If any coach is going to do it, it's going to be Steve Kerr. If any coach is going to bring a group of heads together that can form an offense and shoot heavy as it is, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Kerr, 100%.
Again, this is a team that with Chris Paul, the Rockets almost beat them with Kevin Durant. So, again, they're without KD. They're without that superstar. The last time they played, granted, they didn't have KD against Toronto, but they lost to LeBron, and that team was pretty much LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. That was it. So that's why I think they need – and Draymond, I have questions offensively with him. That's why I think they need another piece other than other than Steph and Klay. And you can't count on a rookie such as Anthony Edwards or James Wiseman to come in and be that superstar right away. We just talked about some young players evolving 5 years into the career because they come in at 19. So that's why
it
I'm
sound like if they don't have a
Warriors.
3rd superstar, they have no shot at doing anything. No, they have 2 superstars and they have a good defensive player. They have Andrew Wiggins, who's a solid player, either starting or coming off the bench as a 6th man. They're depending on who they draft. I mean, it's just like Dane's just like they're not a perfect team, so they're not the team in his mind.
Listen,
They don't
he can't put them. He can't put them against the
Steph
Lakers.
really
He can't
gonna be
put them
that
over the
guy?
Lakers if they don't have a single flaw.
I
mean,
don't have a
They
flaw.
probably have better
Lakers have
depth than the
flaws.
Lakers or close to it.
But tell me this: is Steph going to be that guy?
Yes.
Is he going to win over
I think he
LeBron?
could.
Is he going to win LeBron and AD? You taking Steph and Klay over LeBron and AD, Kawhi and PG? Absolutely not. The ceiling for them
Listen,
next
man,
I'm
year-
that
taking the
duo
Warriors
is
as
so-
a good challenge for them, not over them. Like
That's the fight. That is
Yeah.
the cup. And
But if
and,
you look at
but
the
listen, another thing. We're gonna go through this whole series week by week, talking about teams that have no shot at being close to the playoffs in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Right? This team is ready. If had everyone back tomorrow, this team's ready. You
But
know that.
what I'm saying
That's how
is,
you know that they're.
You said Steph and Klay are a fantastic duo. They are. The Splash Brothers are historic. No one's questioning that. But if you look at the rest of the teams, if you look at the rest of the Lakers team with Kuzma, Howard, Rondo, Avery Bradley, KCP. If you look at the rest of the Clippers team, Lou
you
Williams,
can name names
Pat
too
Bev,
and just call that
Lucky.
depth.
names, who else on the Warriors other than who like what I'm saying? Who else other than the Warriors is going to make them a top 2 team in the West? That's not in the starting 5. Andrew Wiggins would start at the 3. Exactly. Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole, like the team that won 14 games this year or whatever.
Yeah, because they were missing their 2 best players.
They're getting back to 2 best.
What do you think the Lakers are going to do if AD and LeBron are out the entire year?
They'd be exactly. But that team, if let's say you take
Exactly,
Steph and Klay like
yes.
you did, but you take away AD and LeBron, that Lakers team without AD and LeBron would still be better than that Warriors team without Steph and Klay. That's what I'm saying. Same thing with the Clippers if you took away Kawhi and PG, which is essentially a squad that took KD to 6 last year. KD and the Warriors to 6.
That's
So
why
that's
people
what
are saying the Clippers teams are going to be good this year.
Yeah, I'm
Very,
not-
very, very long.
Clippers.
Very
Let's move on. Jeez. All right. Keeping us in the dark again. He told us to bring a notepad and a pen. Jayden's Jump Ball, Episode 4. Let's go, buddy.
All right. You need to give me screen share.
Okay, here we go. Here we
Hold
go.
up. Wait.
Oh, we're screen sharing again. Oh my goodness.
Oh, 1 sec. Okay, wait for it.
No more tattoos, skin things.
Oh, I love the tattoos.
You see my screen?
Cream?
Screams?
Money cream? Jayden, what are you doing?
You ready?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Hello and welcome to Jayden's Jump Ball. This edition is very special, near and dear to the heart. Cash rules everything around me. Dollar bill, y'all. Cream. Another way to say it there. This is a little different. Once again, nothing to do at all with NBA stats or statistics because, who cares? This right here is about NBA memorabilia. All right? Here's the way you play. It's just like The Price is Right. So you're going to get a piece of NBA memorabilia, NCAA memorabilia, and you have to guess the price of the item. The closest person wins. If you go over, you automatically lose. Closest person wins. All right? It ranges
He's going to win this. He's going to
ranges from very, very little to very, very high. All right? So let's see where this goes. All right? I'm going to show you the image. You can, once again, use anything in the image to help you try to find out what the price tag would be. And these are all eBay buy now prices. All right. You're going to write it down on your piece of paper. I'm going to ask you to show your piece of paper, and then I'm going to show you the $ amount. All right. You ready? Get your juices flowing in the mind. All right. First one. NBA Luka Doncic signed Funko Pop figure. Remember, this one is signed. Luka Doncic. A lot of people consider him one of the best uprising players in the NBA right now. Obviously, internationally known player as well. PSA certified, meaning that this autograph is authentic. Funko Pops have been one of the more collectible items in recent days. So do you guys have a dollar amount already in mind?
I'm either going to overshoot this terribly or just like completely undershoot it.
Okay, Connor, what do you go with?
I'm going to go 50. I don't know. Oh, it's backwards.
$50. That's
50.
all right. Hey, that's good for me.
$50? Me, I'm going to go with $147.
Winner here. Wait, I am on the wrong thing. $449.99. You got to remember, these Funko Pops are very collectible. It's also autographed. This guy, it's like collecting baseball cards. It's his rookie card like that. It's very insane. So Dane gets the point there. Next up. Chris Paul game-worn used rubber band wristband. So NBA New Orleans Hornets. So this was thrown out into the crowd. Obviously, this guy with some crusty hands. Now that I look at it now, maybe I used that picture. But he threw it onto the crowd, and he's looking to sell it on eBay. So how much do you think this one goes for? Chris Paul, obviously no longer now with the New Orleans Hornets. He's now with your Thunder there, Connor, and this is a little bit of a relic given the Hornets.
Dan, you go first this time.
No longer
$207.
$207, Connor.
50 again.
$150. So Connor gets you went over. You went over.
But
If you go over, you automatically lose.
what?
Price is
Yes,
right.
Price is Right rules.
Price is Right rules.
I've never
Price is
watched
Right
that
rules.
show. I mean,
So if you go
Get
over,
educated.
automatically loses. That's that. You gotta know. I said that.
You said it.
$150 for a wristband. $150. Game one. Got the sweat on there and everything. Next up, Tony Delk, NBA stuffed brown bear.
Tony Delk?
From Tony Delk from the year 2000. It's an NBA official brown bear. You see the image there?
Connor
Got the
goes
tag
first.
on the ear.
Go. I mean, I don't see what extra value there is, so I'll just go $20.
$36.
$36. Both of you lose $10.99. That's what you get for it on eBay. And these are current listings as well. So if you want to go out and buy this, you definitely could. And maybe you send it to me.
No, I'm not sending you a tweet.
Next up. So no one got a point there. I think it's tied at one right
Yeah,
now.
tied one apiece.
Tied at one. Next up. Jerry West, Los Angeles Lakers Salvino autograph figurine. Purple jersey. There's an autograph on the bottom on the court block there. Very special is the purple uniform. These are obviously a classic figurine. much like how the Funko Pops are now today. These are how they were back then.
I go first.
Yeah.
I believe Dane goes first here. Yes.
$667.
$667. Very specific number, Connor. What you
Yeah.
got?
Why is he always coming? Like, just do a round number. I was putting this up there for like exactly 667. I will go 850.
$850. Both of you incorrect. Only $300. So maybe you guys overshot it. Maybe you guys want $299.
It's autographed by Jerry West.
I thought I was
I
undershooting
gotta
it.
also
Like, I
take into
almost-
consideration the condition of the piece. You see, a little dirty. So also
Jay-
Hey!
A little dirty.
little dirty. Tied. I want a piece still. Next up. NCAA Penn State Lady Lions. Renee Portland bobblehead. Connor, I did this for you because you
Who's
are
Renee Portland?
She is
terrible coach.
a terrible.
Okay.
She is a infamous, famous coach. She has done some weird things, but I did this for Connor because there's literally nothing on the market for Penn State basketball. I tell you that.
Not a basketball school anymore.
Not
Almost
not
was.
anymore.
Almost was.
almost there. Nothing there for Penn State. So I did give you that.
$5.
$5. Dane, what you got?
$8.95.
Connor gets it. $5.50. $5.50. I can't believe it. I thought I was a little scared you might go over because it was so low, but $5.50. Good. I think I might buy that. I might buy that. 50 cents. So Connor's now up 2-1. Next up. 2003 season parking pass at Syracuse University. This is the year that they did win the national championships, and this is a parking pass from that year.
Dane's just
So-
gonna write a blank check.
This is it. Dane, your pops might have it.
No,
This
he
this is
doesn't.
this
He
is
does
the
not have
literal
it.
parking. So you hang this on your rear view mirror, and this would get you into all the games and stuff like that, or at least parking wise, which is pretty important.
We're
given
going
you
with the
want to do
same guess
something.
from last time. $8.95.
$8.95. Connor, what are you thinking?
I'll take a page out of Dane book. I'll go $13.94.
$19.95. Connor gets it because he just edged you out. Back in the day, this was a hot. This was a blank check back in the day. Now, not so much. But how much? Connor? 3-1 now.
3-1.
3-1. Next up, I think this is the last one. I do things in sevens here. So Chicago Bulls, Chicago Stadium floor seat used by players and team, also used by Michael Jordan. If he just so happened to sit on that chair, you see a picture of him sitting on one of these Halo chairs. Obviously, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest players of all time.
$100.
$100. Connor.
300.
$2,500. Connor Glunt with the superb victory. Maybe I'll go back to some stats to give Dane.
Thank you.
To give
Listen,
Dane. I
we've
thought
gone
this was a fun
tattoos,
one.
And then we've gone memorabilia. Like, I've never watched The Price is Right in my life.
That's your fault.
Listen, Connor's
never
won
been
2 weeks in a
way
row,
too
and I'm
bored on
starting
a
to not be
weekend?
able to stand it. So unshare your screen,
I'll
and let's
I
focus on
apologize.
next week here.
I apologize. How do
No,
I
let's
get out of
just.
here?
Hey, let me
Stats
take
are
my
the best.
victory lap.
Numbers.
There you go.
Got a couple tissues if you need them, Dane.
You're the one that brought on the. Yeah, you do have tissues. Connor's the one that was blowing his nose rapidly. before we
Allergies.
go.
Allergy season.
Allergies.
Allergy
Season.
season.
Big
Yeah.
Not
summer
good.
now, ladies and gentlemen. Look out.
Can't
Look
believe
out.
it. Finally
Not
here.
good.
So moving on, obviously the NBA, they're coming back July 31st. NHL is returning around the same time. WNBA, maybe the MLB, we don't know. But how do you think the NBA is going to do in TV ratings? I think they're going to do fantastic. I think they're going to be one of the only leagues on. People are going to want to watch. They haven't had their sports fix in a while. I understand the TBT, which we'll talk about later. That's going to be on a little bit before that, but especially during the playoffs. I mean, you usually don't have the NBA during this time. You're likely not going to have summer baseball. What else is there to watch? And you have the biggest basketball stars in the game. What do you guys
Even if
think?
there is something to watch, the NBA is always going to dominate. They always have. They're gonna win over the American crowd, regardless of the MLB if they're playing or NHL. And I mean, the NHL even moved their season a couple times just because they announced they're playing first, and then the NBA came out and said what they're doing. It was like, okay, we don't want our schedules to conflict too much, just so we don't lose out on too many ratings. But I mean, the NBA. Them and the NFL are the two powerhouse leagues in the U.S. They're gonna dominate.
My only fear is that people will not watch because there are no fans. I've seen this with professional wrestling. I know it's a very, very different animal and a very different beast. The ratings have shot completely down. I think that has a lot to do that there is no fans in the stadium. I know professional wrestling is a very oriented type of show, but at the same time, people might not get the same enjoyment that they get out of watching a basketball game, hearing no fans at all than they would. It's like sort of watching like a Division III basketball game. It's kind of weird when there's not a roar of the crowd. So that could be the only thing that affects it. But then again, it's still the NBA. It's still you're the most marketed players.
Exactly. But now, guess what else you get to hear? Get to hear the players talk more smack. Yeah. So that's an added benefit with no fans. You don't know. Some games will probably be much more entertaining than others. You can hear some interesting words or things like that, some interesting conversations in between teammates, on the bench, other players, different bickerings. So, yeah, I think the NBA is going to do fantastic in ratings. Jayden, I think that's a legitimate concern, but I think the NBA will work through that just because of the quality of play and the stars on the court and their platforms. Now, TBT, the basketball tournament that's starting July 4th, the bracket is out. Bayheim's Army, I think they're going to win it. Now, what we are going to do, we're going to start back up our picks for TBT.
Oh, no. I'm going to do really bad.
Yes, we are. We're going to start back up our picks for that bracket of every game. And I believe there's only like 32 teams in the bracket. So we're going to start back up our picks for every game. And granted, I think I have an advantage in this one because a lot of them are former college players.
Yeah, get cocky, yeah. Yeah, get full of yourself.
Hey, I am a little full of myself.
Do that, sure.
Hey, Connor, you're the one in last place by a game, so.
By a game, yeah.
You know what? Actually, I'm not as upset anymore because I realized that I am just smoking both of you like out of the water at this point. Like it was by the time we ended, I was just straight up dominating. Plain simple as that.
Well, when the NBA playoffs start back up, he's gonna choke like the New York Mets usually do. But we're not.
Wow! Oh my God! You didn't even say no, man.
Oh, we're not getting into a baseball argument.
Wow.
Maybe we'll talk after the show about this stuff. To wrap up. Favorite basketball commentator, dead or alive? Obviously, it sounds like jackpot, dead or alive right here. But favorite basketball commentator?
Yeah, the obvious pick is Mike Breen, but I feel that's
baby.
Oh yeah, he's got the most iconic one-liners. But no, I'll go Dick Vitale. Who doesn't love Dickie V? His voice on a good college basketball game. So it's like I didn't want to go too obvious. So in college, he always just encaptures the crowd and that whole aura with it. So he's just, I think, the best college basketball and probably the second best basketball.
Jayden, you got one?
Well, Clyde Frazier. Very weird pick.
Styling and profiling.
But you know me. You know me. I be wearing the crazy suits. I be walking around dripped out, right? And I just take after that. And also, I love those big words, exuberant. You know, all these flashy words that he puts out there. I think it defines New York basketball. That's at least how I see it.
The Knicks, Maleficent, down the For me, you guys both said color commentators. I'm going to stick with that trend. Maybe we'll do play-by-play guys next week. But I'm going to go with Bill Walton. The colors and the rainbows, the beautiful down the West Coast in the Pac-12. The best conference in America. How can you not love the beautiful game of basketball and the colors and nature out in the trees? Raccoons climbing yes, Bill Walton, of course. My impression wasn't too good, but
it was perfect.
All right, there we go. Bill Walton, man.
Give it a 10. 10 out of 10.
I love Bill Walton. I mean, he actually did a lot of the NBA finals, I believe, earlier, but now he's just a Pac-12 college basketball announcer. And living on the East Coast late at night, I mean, that guy will just brighten up your night or keep you alive. Watching a game or something like that. He doesn't even pay attention to the game half the time. But I love it. I love it. Man, every time he sees like a three made or a dunk, I remember I don't know if you guys watched the highlights. He was color for Chicago White Sox for like a few innings or something like that. And there was a foul ball. He's like, oh, go. Is that a home run? And they're like, no. And Jason Benetti, he's like, no, that's a foul ball, Bill. But colorful guy, and what's not to love from Bill Walton? What's not to love
from
Bill Walton?
Never heard that story. That's a good one.
Next week, last episode of June next week will be episode 5. Before we go, make sure, again, you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on social media, our personal accounts as well, Twitter and Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, as well as 1306 Sports. Shout out Andrew Gabriel right there for marketing us right there. Big heart.
Big hearts. Big hearts, Andrew.
Make sure you tune in to episode 5. Lots to talk about. Well, we don't know yet, but hopefully there'll be a lot to talk about. See you later. Connor Glunt, Jayden Becker, Dane Richardson. Peace out.